A worm is a detritivore. I learned that in 9th grade, which, depending on where you're from, is what one might call freshman year of high school. A period which for me was placed in the era which we all inhabit, an era seeing online culture increasingly indulge itself in streaming, which during my time in high school was especially prevalent around figures like Ninja Blevins Fortnite.
Come on, baby, show me what you got. Show me what, just move. If you don't know what, just move. I want to see some movement. I'm not seeing enough movement.
Oh my god. That is still one of the funniest videos I've ever seen.
The fuck you say to me, you little shit?
Back in high school, during Ninja's reign, I had little feelings on the matter of streaming. I cared much more about YouTube videos and friends, starting my own channel where I played with those very same friends, or where I would make a video like my Discord pranks video, where I just call them to tell them that their moms are bitches, and that's it. That's like the whole joke.
This one time, I was like walking down the street, right? And your mom's a fucking whore.
Because YouTube is friendship to me in so many ways. Even before high school, much of the foundational conversations I had with other people were YouTube related. I didn't really understand the urge to watch a stream back then, and I don't always now. I especially don't understand how one finds a streamer, or inversely, how a streamer is found, especially on sites like Twitch, but I digress. Much of my experience as a viewer has been a focus on YouTubers who do a stream occasionally, like Eddie Burback. A YouTuber who makes fantastic videos if you're a nerd. I especially remember one stream. A stream where Eddie and his now estranged friends Gus and his brother Sven have an incredible friend conversation together. I say friend conversation because there's a stark difference between what I saw that day between friends and what you typically see streamer buddies portray to their fans. Because what I watched during that stream was two friends talking about meeting each other and how the books they love tied into that friendship. To me, that's a good stream. But that's not what makes streaming streaming. Streaming is a vehicle for engagement with the audience more than anything, not with your friends. Streaming as a job is an endless void that leaves people like Hassan lonely without a chat to talk to.
You know what?
Also, you develop like a kind of relationship with chat, from what I understand.
Yeah.
And it's like, I noticed with Hassan when he's not streaming, he's often like, you know, it's like it's missing a friend.
Right.
Yeah.
Streaming is not one which pushes you towards social interaction, since it drains most of your social abilities, whether through exhaustion or becoming accustomed to chat as your social life. Streaming is a systematic clawing for attention from a person you don't know. Streaming is a facade and sometimes theft. Streaming is cult of personality personified. Streaming in so many ways chews you up and spits you out. It's a capitalist dream. Whether politics and philosophy of real change can be conveyed through its means, I don't know. It certainly hasn't happened yet, and to be honest, I'm not too hopeful it will. A quick one before the Eternal Worm Devours Connecticut is the opening song to a widely praised album, Death Consciousness by Have a Nice Life. It has a name and a feeling which that name evokes. In my opinion, Connecticut has been devoured 100 times, but the eternal worm still approaches. Connecticut could be any one of us, and the worm is whatever you please. The worm is capitalism. The worm is oppression, a toxic boyfriend. The worm is that corn kernel from that underwhelming bag of popcorn stuck behind one of your teeth, but you can't figure out which one. The worm is destruction. The worm is streaming. I recently streamed the first season of Telltale's The Walking Dead. I originally did so not really for my own sake, but because a friend had asked me to. That doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it, though. In fact, my enjoyment of it became the primary driving force, rather than him who hardly attended. But The process of streaming for sometimes 3 or even 5 hours, of preparing the thumbnail and eating before, of quickly editing and uploading, and of exhausting my social battery talking to a screen without immediate response was draining. But I wasn't devoured. I'm not detritus, right? Decomposers decompose. They decompose to absorb nutrients directly from without. Detritivores aren't decomposers. They too decompose dead matter, but within their own bodies. Worms are not decomposers, they're detritivores. They feast on dead matter and shit it out. A streamer's brain, their beliefs, the revolution, they're all dead in the water by the time the eternal worm catches up to them. They had no chance to begin with, and after they're shit out, they lay the conditions to create more of them. More detritus, more shit, more detritus. The eternal worm is what it says it is, and a quick one doesn't stop the worm. However nice, however fruitful, it still becomes detritus. It's different, though, with that Eddie Burback stream, with Sven and Gus, right? I mean, yes, Gus is detritus, he's the worm, he's shit, but the worm has not consumed Eddie. Eddie just does his thing and has not been the eternal worm for the woman he loves like Gus was. Maybe the eternal worm is YouTube too, though. Maybe Eddie supporting striking workers means nothing when our activism is contained to a platform. Our YouTube videos are detritus and the worm still consumes in its regular cycles. So, am I detritus? Have I been consumed? Are my plans for this channel bound to be shit out by the eternal worm, or will I contribute to a real radical action and change? I don't know. Stick around to find out. Like and subscribe, hit the bell, comment, say something nice, say something at all. Maybe the shit that seeps from our worm fingers won't find a way to fertilize the conditions of more detritus. But maybe it's that hopelessness that's detritus. Maybe the shit is more fertile and more universal when people watch anarchists. Maybe the shit can be used in more ways. Maybe more anarchists on YouTube or streaming is good. Maybe capitalism is the eternal worm, and criticizing how a person is consumed doesn't change that it's happening to all of us. Maybe, yes, YouTube and streaming are the eternal worm, but only insofar as they are capitalism, under the system of capitalism. A quick one before the eternal worm devours Connecticut is comical when phrased in that manner. Because why would you do a thing when destruction is upon you? But what else do you do? Stare at its silhouette in the sky? No? So do what you please. Whatever your heart's content, do as you want. Or build to destroy it. Nobody said the eternal worm couldn't be killed. Eternal is the name which we've given it. Its power to suck us down and shut us out is largely avoided when we refuse to be detritus. If we aren't detritus but stay standing, it starves. Will I keep my balance? No, maybe not. Probably not. I'll just tell you to. I'll help spread the word so more of you do. I'm detritus shit out, and maybe I can fertilize the movement for radical action and a genuine shift in social relations and hierarchical power. Maybe you can change things. I believe you can, but probably not me. Is Hassan detritus? And if so, how much more than me? Or how much are we when compared to any other creator? When does creation stop being creative and revolutionary and start being trash? Being detritus? If Hassan is detritus, is it simply because his politics are functionally liberal and reformist in nature, or is it because life as a streamer is incapable of producing revolution? No matter how many people you sway and change the minds of, is streaming always bound to stay in its own lane? So then, why am I not detritus? If I am changing minds, which I see no evidence for, how would that do anything? It's not like I'm beginning to change things in my own community. I mean, I fear leaving my own home. I find it increasingly terrifying to leave my computer. Whether for my transness or something else, I stay home. I could read more, I could make more anarchist videos, and yet I don't. Even the shit I could create is possibly fruitless. Because what? I convince 100 more me's to be me and stay home and hate capitalism and control? Well, no. I could never convince anyone to be me and do me how I do me. This is every day in some way. Every day is a battle with the eternal worm, or a battle with my own interpretation of it. It consumes me, it feels, over and over. Sometimes I feel I'm doing enough or doing what I'm supposed to, and yet I'm consumed nonetheless. I do stream sometimes despite it. I do make videos despite it, and I go about my life despite it, but it still haunts me at every step of the way. I and everyone else should do more, as much as we can, with anti-authoritarianism and anti-capitalism as our guiding force. For me, that's anarchism, a synthesis anarchism, or a black flag anarchism, an anarchism that seeks the upholding of autonomy for each individual and their community separate from control by others. I believe a united anarchy is strong, and I think what's to come for this channel will be fantastic. Right now, I'm working on a short series that will hopefully come to fruition in the way it exists in my mind. It's a massive project for this channel, and I hope it doesn't fall through the cracks like the many scripts and ideas before it. I'm always working on something, it seems. And that work is hardly ever building anarchism, but instead building ideas and art in favor of it. But maybe I was never supposed to be the avid revolutionary, at least not the one to start the movement. Maybe I'm bound by the causal chain to always be the shitty artist. For the time being, I'll make propaganda and art. I'll help other anarchists do that too, like how I do the thumbnails for Anarch series Anarch Responds. But in the way of building community where I am, at the moment, outside of taking care of my friends and family when they need me to, I think I will just stick to doing what I do. I think it's valuable as an anarchist to indulge in your own uniqueness, your own ego, to do as you please and to do as your ego guides you. For me, for the time being, again, that is making these shitty videos. But the eternal worm is still around the corner, and that worm won't go away until we destroy it.